everyone to an episode of What's the Alternative with Coach Chris Lepore from UNCG. Glad to have you, man. Thank you for being a part of this for sure. So
appreciate you having me on, man. Let's get to it. I'm ready.
yeah, man. So let's dive right into it, man. Talk about your journey and how you got to where you are as an assistant coach on a Division I level staff. So just talk to me about your childhood, your hoop dreams, and your hoop history rather, and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, sure. I kind of always had the coaching gene in my DNA as a player. As much as I enjoyed competing, I also enjoyed helping people get better.
Right.
So as a high school player, when I was a senior captain, I'd spend some time after practice working with the JV guys and the freshmen. It was always just something I got joy out of, helping guys develop their games. And I was pretty crazy about my personal player development, always trying to get extra shots, things of that nature. So all my coaches growing up said, one day you're going to be a coach, and
Right.
I'm not really sure I believed them until I finally got an opportunity to get on the sidelines and experience that for myself. I never played 1 second of college basketball. I graduated from high school, and my high school coach changed schools, offered me a spot to be his freshman coach and JV coach. So I went and gave that a shot, and that's where I kind of fell in love with it.
Right.
This was in Nashville, Tennessee, and did that for 2 years, and then started working with the team at Belmont, where I was at school as a manager.
Okay.
And
where is Belmont?
Right in downtown Nashville. Almost.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it almost shares the same campus as Vanderbilt and Lipscomb. They're all right there in the same area.
I got
you. Tennessee State's right there, so bunch of spots right there in the same little area. But we were really good. So I walked into a program. Coach Bird had been the head coach for 25 years already, and so it was a pretty well-oiled machine. And I was just glad I got to be a part of it. We went to the NCAA tournament my first year, and I was really excited about college basketball from that point on.
Was Hanlon player when you were coaching?
He was. So Drew is one of the most motivational people I've ever been around. When I say motivational, I mean just personally motivated. He is so driven. So when I got there, he was our point guard. He would literally, in the off season, he would go through our practices and workouts and then go across the street to Vanderbilt and work out their players.
Really?
And he had like a 75-page book, which was his business plan of Pure Sweat.
Right.
And this was before it was even Pure Sweat.
Right.
And he had drills and videos and YouTube and social media, this elaborate plan of what he was going to do.
Right.
And people honestly thought he was crazy when he would talk about it.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I'm going to be working out the best of the best.
Yeah.
And, here's how it's going to look. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be this big thing. And people are like, okay. Yeah. But I question whether or not he was totally human because of the hours he would work.
Right.
He invited me one day to come film, help him film his like individual drills that he was going to put up on YouTube one day. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, we'll go over there. I'll rebound a couple shots. He'll do his thing in front of the camera, and we'll be out of there. We got there at 7 a.m. We didn't leave the gym until 9 p.m.
Oh my God.
And this was just for a couple YouTube segments this was early on in the Pure Sweat development.
Right.
And he always took care of us for helping him out. He threw me a bunch of Nike gear.
Right.
And I mean, he's an extremely generous and kind person. But when I say he's machine-like work-wise, it was incredible. I mean, he's a student athlete, and he's a CEO entrepreneur at the same time alongside that. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. I follow a lot of the trainers. Obviously as a trainer, you kind of watch other people, and he's one of the ones that I think is the best at his job because the thing I follow him, what I like about him the most is that he doesn't do a lot of the gimmicky stuff.
No doubt.
And then I think, from what I watch, I take a lot of stuff from his stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's pure skill development that's going to transfer to the game. I mean, it's all game training. Like I don't need to do 3 dribbles and jump over a chair and make a layup or dodge
Right.
balls and stuff like that. So yeah, man,
No doubt.
I like Drew.
Yeah, anytime I bring him up to our current players and they realize that we were in school together, it automatically gives me a little boost in street
Right,
cred
right,
to
right,
know that I learned a lot from him. So I give him a hard time about that all the time. I'm like, man, you're out here giving me street cred with our players, but
yeah,
he's the man. He's all the success he's had is well deserved. He's put the time in for years.
for sure. So let's talk about after. So did you go straight from high school to UNCG, or how did that?
Yeah, so from Belmont, when I graduated there, um, I randomly had a connection to the ops guy in Coach Miller's program.
Okay,
And he reached out to me about being a graduate assistant. And I said, I'd love to sit down with Coach Miller.
right.
We interviewed at the Final Four in Dallas. This was 2014.
Hmm.
And, UNCG doesn't have the same,
Right,
weight when you say that name now.
right,
Back then, this is 6, 7 years ago.
right,
I didn't really know a lot about the program. I
right,
didn't really know a lot about Coach Miller other than he was the white dude banging threes on that '05 national
right,
championship team.
right.
But when I sat down with him, his vision for the program, it kind of reminded me of my first encounter with Drew Hanlon. Like I just saw somebody who was so passionate and energetic to go to
Right,
work every day,
right,
and we just got along from day one, and I saw a future there, and I saw that we could build something special. And so I started there as a graduate assistant, and uh, luckily Coach Miller has great values, and he's given me chances and promoted me a bunch. And that's kind of the 30-second story of how I got to be an assistant coach on his staff.
cool deal. How has it been working under somebody who has had success as a player? Obviously, bringing that into the coaching realm, but those guys operate differently. I play Division 1, and I understand coming from the director of operations, or coming from the bottom to get to where you
Sure.
are now. People really don't understand the side. I've seen it, and I saw my coaches go through it, and I'm like, I don't think I want to coach. That's just my preference. But
No doubt.
how is it working under him, and what makes you keep sticking with it?
Yeah, it's crazy now, even just talking about my journey, to think that I just finished my 6th year with him. So we've been together for a while.
Hmm.
And those early years were tough. We weren't very good. We won 10 games my first season.
Oh, wow.
Now we've had all this success. People forget it wasn't too long ago that we were really struggling.
Right.
Um, now we've got all 104 wins in 4 years and 5 straight postseasons. Man, I don't forget those hard times.
Yeah, man.
But I'll tell you this with Coach Miller, he wants things done quickly. He wants things done perfectly. His standards are really, really high,
Mhm.
and it's what makes him great. He demands a lot out of our players. If any of them came on here, they'd tell you that.
Right.
And it's the same way with our staff. There's a really high standard. It's championship standard every day, and he is impossible to outwork.
Right.
Impossible. I've been trying for 6 years. It's just impossible. The guy eats, sleeps, barely sleeps,
Right.
but breathes UNCG basketball all day, every day. And so for me, um, there might be days where I'm tired. There
Mhm.
might be days where
For sure.
we're coming off, losing 2 in a row, whatever it may be, a tough stretch, a road swing, and
Mhm.
I walk in the gym feeling tired, and Coach Miller's in there on 100,
Right.
energy, ready to go, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I got to get to his level. And
Yeah.
so I just think it's been great to work for a leader that every day we're all trying to get to his level collectively, assistant coaches, managers, players.
Right.
Every day the mission is to try to get to coach's level, which is a hard level to get to.
Right. And I think that success of his college playing career kind of breeded that into him.
No
with that
question.
Carolina family and having that background. So talk to me about like the success of UNCG. Obviously, you guys competing against all the big time schools around you, the Duke, Carolina States, Wake Forest. You now guys have put yourself kind of in that realm. Um, so talk about that, like how y'all that actual process to success and
Sure.
how that journey was for you.
Sure. Yeah, I think reflecting on those early years where we haven't won a lot of games and thinking about coach's energy in the gym every day, it's the same way twofold. We might be on a 10-game win streak and we're all kind of feeling good and kind of feeling ourselves, and the guys are getting a lot of love, and coaches in there starting practice like we're down 20.
Right.
And so it's again trying to get to his level.
Right.
But our mantra as a program is one day at a time, and we talk about growth a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be real easy when everybody on social media is talk about how great you are, and
Right.
y'all beat Georgetown and y'all beat NC State, and y'all are a top 50 program now, and it sounds good.
Right.
But we're not where we want to be yet as a program. We think there's levels to this thing, and we're still hungry, like you've talked about, these name brand programs that
Mm-hmm.
you look to your right or your left, and and there they are. We want to be one of those.
Right.
And I think regionally, because of how well we recruited the area,
Right.
We're starting to see the fruits of that.
So do you guys, to piggyback off that, do you guys just talk about recruiting for a little bit?
Sure.
Obviously, to win, you guys are getting better recruits. So
no question.
As far as the recruiting process, how hard is that with the surrounding schools around? And what have you guys done differently? You feel like that is able to attract these players, to make you guys a successful program that you are now?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, it's tough in this area
Yeah.
because you've got some heavy hitters around here.
Right.
I will say I think there's been, in the last 4 or 5 years or so, there's been more energy put towards kind of staying home,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's definitely benefited us just because our vision has always been to hang banners with guys in our area.
Right.
And, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that North Carolina's got ballers everywhere.
Right. Of course.
Greensboro, High Point, Burlington, Raleigh, Charlotte. I mean, you don't have to fly all the way around the country.
Right.
But, we always feel like we really impress on campus.
Mm-hmm.
We tell kids we might not have all the best bells and whistles.
Right.
Like, you might find a better Gatorade fountain somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or, somebody else might have a nicer hoodie.
Right.
But between the lines, when you come watch us work out, when you come watch us on an off day, how the guys look in the weight room, our day-to-day approach, we feel like we can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country.
Right.
And that's been something that, from Coach Miller all the way down to in our locker room, something that we really believe in, the standard that we try to raise every day.
For sure. I think that's really dope, man, because it's just amazing to see the process has changed so much since my era, 2009, 2010. The way of getting recruited now is 10
No
times.
question.
Um,
No question. Yeah, they didn't have fancy graphics to send you in a Drake jersey back then.
Everybody has a commitment video now, man. It's different.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, I think, but at the same time, it's just like the kids are superstars. If you're somewhat really good in your area, you're a superstar on social media before you even
no question
up on a college campus. And a lot of these kids, some of them don't realize how tough and competitive it is when they get to school. They come in with the swag already and they're not humble, not realizing like, hey, when you get here, everybody else was a McDonald's American nominee or whatever. So it gets real when you get to school. So
freshman year is tough for everybody.
Yeah, man. So going right into talking about recruiting and everything, what's your thoughts on all the high school players dropping out from going to college and going overseas or straight to the G League? What's your opinion on that?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I know that when they made those rules, as an assistant coach, you're not on the committee that's making these decisions, and
Right.
you don't have a lot of say so in the matter. So you're just kind of wait and see how it all plays out.
Right.
And I do think it's interesting, and it sounds like it's trending that each year more and more are going to
Yeah.
look into those options.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to affect recruiting to a certain extent, and
Sure.
we've all got to adjust and plan
Right.
for that. And that's the fun part about being an assistant coach is, uh, rules are going to change, and you just
Right.
got to adjust and be proactive.
Yeah, for sure, man. So do you believe that as a kid, do you think, I know it just depends on situation to situation, but do you believe that uh, it's better to go ahead and go to the G League, or do you think it's better to, if now that the NCAA is kind of going through this likeness kind of thing where they can kind of get paid from endorsements, do you think it's better to go to college for a year?
I'm biased. I'm always gonna say come to UNCG and play for Coach Miller. But I think it'll be interesting. We don't really have data yet to
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
the benefits are
right,
of either one of these scenarios. So I think in a couple years we're gonna find out what how these kids have panned out. The kids that end up going to college and taking advantage of the new likeness stuff, and the kids who chose the G League route. I think it's going to be really interesting data here in a couple years.
yeah. It'll be fun to see and see everything unfold. Um, I just believe that you should always go to college. I mean, I just think college gives you more of the spotlight, especially if you're one of those guys, those top guys that is trying to get to the NBA.
No,
Playing in the
no question.
rivalry games. I mean, just the whole
Yeah,
national attention raises your stock versus going to the G League, which is not televised. You know what I mean? Those kind of
right.
things. And now, it's just you getting thrown right into the wolves with guys who were superstars in college as well that are in the G League. You know what I mean? So
No
I
question.
think that's
College basketball is special. I know that much.
yeah, yeah, for sure, sure. So talk about, as a coach, what do you look for in kids when you're recruiting?
Yeah, this is a question we get a lot, and I always start by saying, like, talent is obviously a non-negotiable.
Right,
Like, you might check every box for us, but if you're not good enough to help us win,
right,
that's going to eliminate you. So talent's a non-negotiable. We got to check. We got to check that box. We need good players to hang banners and
right,
compete in our league and nationally. But when we watch guys, we have this thing on our when we talk about recruiting over text and over calls. Is he a Spartan? That's what we ask, and we're not the type to throw out like 50 offers and you
right,
know blessed to receive my 39th offer from
right,
UNCG. We're not just trying to be a tweet. So we really try to get to know kids, and when we offer them, they can take it.
right,
Like, that's our guy.
right,
And so when we ask the question, is he a Spartan? We've got to know a lot
right,
to answer that. How are they with their teammates? How are they with their coaches? How are they in the locker room? What's their body language like? Are they competitive? Okay, I saw him win a game by 20, and he looked like a great teammate. But how did he look in the next game when they lost by 8?
right,
And so questions like that, their competitive nature, we practice hard.
right,
We get after. We're between the lines, like we're nasty.
right,
And so they've got to have a competitive edge.
mhm,
That's a non-negotiable for us.
right,
Uh, being a good teammate's a non-negotiable for us. Handing your business in the classroom,
mhm,
um, and guys who are winners.
right,
When we recruited the last class for us with the Langley twins and DeRico Williams and Lights, they all came from winning programs.
Right.
The Langleys, they've been winning everything since they were 8 years old.
Right.
And so checking that box of being a winner is really important for us. Winner, competitive. That's kind of the DNA of what we call a Spartan. Do they love it? We always ask that question. Do they love it? Do they love the gym?
Right.
We have a lot of hard conversations on the front end. I'll talk to parents and say, hey, like, if your son doesn't love the gym, like if he doesn't want to get pushed, if he doesn't want to get coached, if he's not willing to have some hard days, like this is not the spot for him.
Right. I think
Because
that's
he's
truly
going to be
important
unhappy.
To go ahead and put that out there up front, man, because a lot of the kids, man, like you said, kids who do come from winning programs kind of already understand that because their coach is installing that in them.
Right.
But a lot of the kids, who think that they're working out or think that they're going hard, I think it's difficult for them to make that adjustment, man, to whenever they get to college. So that's very, very important that you guys are upfront with it already.
Yeah, no question. And I think, in the transfer era, we've been fortunate. We've won all these games the last 4 years. We've only had a couple guys go into that transfer portal. And I think a lot of that is because Coach Miller's not promising anybody minutes. He's not promising anybody a starting position. Shoot, he's telling kids on the phone right now, Isaiah Miller's got to battle for his spot just as much as anybody else. And he's the reigning player of the year in our league.
Right.
And so having those hard conversations on the front end and not making any promises you can't keep, it keeps a sense of trust in our staff when they get here.
Gotcha. So let's talk about on my podcast, I like to talk a lot about real life. And so let's go into, when you realized, obviously in high school, like coaching was for me, but you're still around what you like to do every single day.
No doubt.
Some kids, they don't have the people to tell them, or mom and daddy's not going to tell them because they want to support them. But some kids they won't excel at the college level. So they don't know, they can't tell themselves, I'm not going to be Division I. So like, what is you went through the whole process of like, I don't think I'm playing college, and you went ahead and went to school. What was that process like? Was it hard? And, what advice would you give the kids who may be in that situation this upcoming senior year in high school?
Oh, it was really hard for me.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be a college basketball player.
Right.
Like in my senior year, I grew to 6'5", and we were supposed to have a really good team. And I just didn't play great. I just didn't have a great senior year.
Right.
And I was disappointed, and I didn't have offers, and if I was being ranked by Phenom Hoop Report, it probably would have said NAIA minus. And so it's hard to get over, but getting over it, I think for me was getting excited about something else.
Right.
And when I knew that I had that opportunity to get into coaching, and I could still be around the game that I love, and there were going to be so many things that I loved about playing that would still be a part of my day-to-day in coaching.
Right.
That helped me. And I think your story where you started out at Drake, and then you transferred down, but shoot, you played in the national championship game, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's the biggest blessing to
it is.
Find your fit.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the most important thing is, man, the fit is way more important than the clout. I'll tell you that.
Of course, man. And
no question about it.
I just think people have a hard time realizing that, even for the kids who just, obviously D1 is so hyped up nowadays. The kids are just, you may be D2, D3. There's nothing wrong with it, man. I think that's the issue that we're having today is that the commitment videos and the getting the offer from everybody waits around for D1 schools, and they're just completely ignoring the other schools that really, really want them. You
No
know,
question.
so
I'll
I
tell
just
you
think
what, as a player, I wish Guilford College would have recruited me.
that, yeah,
I would have jumped on that. Play for Coach Palumbo. That place is packed on game night.
right,
He, I go watch his team practice every year because of the great job him and his staff do. I mean, it's
right,
high level. It's high level basketball, and I
right,
think as what I recommend for parents and kids who are people who are advising kids, like, man, you should go watch Guilford College play.
right, yeah.
You should go
I
watch
had I
Queens
had a
down at
teammate,
Charlotte.
Jared Hanton, who played for Guilford probably back 14 or 15, and he said it was no joke. He said
Woo!
practice was hard. He said off season was really hard. So that's what a lot of them don't even realize,
Yeah, yeah.
man. It's just even every level is going to be hard, but they have no clue, what it's like on that collegiate level, or definitely high major,
No,
or
no
Division
question.
One. So what's your thought process on kids in general, um, their workout routine? You know what I mean? So I know you guys have a heavy structure there,
Sure.
but give me some tools of advice on what kids should be doing as far as their workout routine in high school. Obviously, they can't do a lot right now, um,
Sure.
but what they need to the things that they need to be doing as far as working out to really really put themselves in a position to go to school.
Yeah, it's interesting. As college basketball coaches, we've had to totally have a mind change about the off season because you know 5-6 years ago there wasn't this. Everybody didn't have a trainer.
Right? Yeah,
You
it
know,
was different.
everybody didn't have a one-on-one workout guy.
Right.
Everybody wasn't getting 20 hours a week of ball handling work and
Right.
individual attention and small group stuff.
Right.
Everybody was just finding a place to hoop. Like it
Right.
was all about where's the run, where's the
Right.
pickup, where's the
Right.
Ys, the rec centers, the
Right.
outdoor runs. And there's been this shift to where kids aren't playing 5-on-5 as much.
Right.
We're all getting the unseen hours, the training videos, the
Right.
one-on-one, like the your profession where you're working guys out in small groups,
Right.
one-on-one, the Drew Hanlon wave. It's taken the whole nation by storm.
Mm-hmm.
And shoot, I wish I had it as a player. I wish I
Yeah,
had some
me too, man. I tell people
man.
all the time. I wish we had it. I wish we had my facility when I was growing up, because I would have. My partner does the sports performance where it's like speed, agility, Divertimax. I'm like, golly, I wish I had
I,
that.
I would kill to have that as a
Yeah.
player. But I will say for us, we don't have to do
As
as much individual work because everybody's already getting so much of that on their own.
right.
So my recommendation for younger guys is, man, you got to go find some runs.
Yeah.
Like the individual work stuff is awesome. Like I wish I had it. I would do it as much as I possibly could.
Right.
But you got to find a way to put that stuff into action and like,
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, because I tell my parents a lot. Back when I was doing group sets, like my area is one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. Like
okay,
I want 6 one-on-ones a month. I'm like, okay, obviously I have a service to do and I want your child to get better, but you ever thought about doing one-on-one and one group so they can actually compete against, they need to take what they're learning here. There's no defense during one-on-one.
right.
So you can get up a million shots, but until you can get around other players and compete live and work on that stuff, it's not pointless, but it's setting you backwards pretty much. You can get a million shots up, or you can, if you ain't working on your jab step live, then how do you know if it works? It all looks good
No
during a
question.
one-on-one workout, but
Yeah, and so you'd be people are surprised sometimes when they come watch our individual workouts, and we're working on setting back screens and setting down screens
right,
and passing and moving without the ball and communication and defensive principles, and it's because shoot, we've already dribbled around cones for 10 hours this week.
yeah,
The guys, everybody's already got 800 shots up,
yeah,
and that's outside of our structured time.
right,
So
yeah,
we focus our time more on team concepts, and competing and putting that stuff into practice into live play.
Right. How do you guys deal with the nutrition side of everything up there? Are you guys really strict on your players? I know they were in college. When I was in college, I mean, they told us, but we in
Yeah,
college,
sure,
so we're
sure.
gonna eat pizza but I feel like it's becoming more important nowadays. And I think this shift is changing. You see a lot more even NBA players going vegan. I know Chris Paul has kind of been working on his stuff this year, but has that shift already started at UNCG?
Oh, no question. We're crazy about it, and it really came from we had a group a couple years ago
Mhm.
that really decided they wanted to take their body to the next level, and that diet was going to be a huge component of that.
Mhm.
And so we were already doing things like catering and breakfast and
Right,
post practice meals and stuff everybody does, but
right,
we decided to take it to another level with this group that really wanted to take ownership of their body.
right.
And we started what we called the Healthy Meals program, where they're going to have a healthy lunch catered in every day.
Oh wow.
And they actually, so that they were truly invested in it, they put a little bit of their own money into the program,
Oh wow.
so that it wasn't just a handout.
Right.
They were invested in it to a certain capacity.
Mhm.
And it's been great. It's something that started with two or three guys: Marvin Smith, Francis Alonso, and Jordy Kuiper,
Mhm.
and now it's something we talk about with parents and recruits on campus, and
Right.
almost our whole team is really into that now.
Right.
Like for example, we have a kid on our team right now. He goes by Big Mo, but
Yeah.
he's going through Ramadan right now. So
Oh man.
yeah, yeah, and he's really into his diet, and so this is a challenging time for him
Yeah.
because your
Yeah.
your meals are scarce during
Yeah. Yeah.
Ramadan.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that's at the top of our list in terms of what we're doing off the court with our guys, the nutrition.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, man, got a couple more questions for you. Then I'll let you go, man. Talk about
Sure.
how the coronavirus kind of slowed everything down for you guys. Where were you when it happened? How is it? Obviously, it's affected the whole world. But just talk about from the UNCG standpoint on how it's affected and how it's affected even recruiting now for next year.
Sure.
But you not guys not being able to go out and do what you like.
Yeah. For one, we were anxiously waiting to hear our name called for an NIT at large.
Okay.
We thought we had a good chance to get in that tournament, and we start seeing tweets coming out that the CBI is canceled and the
Right.
CIT, and then sure enough, everything's canceled.
Right.
And so we were like, we're really not going to have a postseason. I mean, we were just kind of shocked.
Yeah.
And then obviously, a couple days later in the news, you realize how serious this thing is. And
Right.
um, so it wasn't long after we got back from Asheville, which is where our conference tournaments played, that
Mhm.
we've all been quarantined since probably
Right.
about March
Right.
March 10th or 12th. Probably we've been virtually on lockdown.
Right.
So it's been a while. We're trying not to lose our minds
Right.
without basketball.
That's
Uh,
that goes for all of us.
but a couple things we're doing. We're having a weekly Zoom call with our team,
Okay.
and some of those are more serious, and some of those have been fun.
Right.
Um, it just gives us a chance to hop on the call and see everybody and
Right.
share what we've been up to, what we're doing.
Right.
Uh, and obviously, everybody's got their hilarious virtual backgrounds, and
Right.
it gives us a chance to stay connected.
Right.
Um, all of our guys have a strength program given from the strength coach, and we were able to send them some free weights and
Right.
resistance bands to their homes.
That's good.
And we gave them a couple outdoor balls. So they have everything they need. It's just the hard part is
Yeah.
trying to find a place to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so
not everybody's got a gym downstairs in their basement.
yeah.
So that's been the hard part for some of our guys, is just finding a place to shoot and
Right.
work out, things of that nature. But obviously we were excited whenever the world returns to some form of normalcy to get back in the gym and get to work. But it's been bizarre. And from a recruiting standpoint, we, like I stressed at the beginning of the call, like we do such a good job on campus to not have that intimate face-to-face has been interesting and kind of odd.
Right.
Just because we'd much rather sit down with you on Coach Miller's couch and bring you into the practice gym than show you a couple pictures.
Right.
So it's definitely changed the game for the short term. We're doing a bunch of like Zoom, I guess unofficial visits the next couple weeks. And I was up till 2 a.m. last night, totally revamping our presentation. And because usually I'm going to give you the campus tour on the golf cart. You're going to come into the practice gym, watch the guys work out. We're going to go eat in the cafeteria.
You got that visual. That visuals. It's easy to sell. When you're on campus, because it sells itself. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I feel like it's definitely got to be difficult now, to be honest.
No doubt. Now you just have to take my word for it that the fried chicken in the cafeteria is legit.
For sure, man. Last thing I want to hit on, man, just give me a couple words of advice for any kids who are, in the process of getting recruited or who have aspirations to go to college and play, man, on what they should be doing, how they should be carrying themselves, coming from a college coach. Just give us a few pointers on what these kids need to be looking for and doing.
Yeah, sure. I think first and foremost, just because of the world we live in, make sure your social media is a positive endorsement of yourself.
Oh man, that's big. Coach Moten and I talked about that on the last one, and it's huge, man. And
no doubt.
They'll keep reiterating from different college coaches. maybe it'll click for them, but it's very, very important. So
it is, and I think the DM I get that says, "What's up, bro? You guys done recruiting yet?"
Yeah.
It goes a long way if it's, "Hey, coach, so and so here from the high school, this high school in Georgia."
Yeah.
If your first impression.
I think that's what social media has done for us, is taking the human. Obviously, it's taking the human interaction, but like some kids don't even know how to talk.
Right.
I mean, it's like, "Yo, coach."
Right.
All right, man. Like, and then it's for us, it's like, it's a respect level. So like, but you know what I mean? The era has made it like where everybody's cool. You know what I mean? You're 13, stop calling me bro. You know what I mean? Like, but you're definitely right about that.
Yeah. And so I think, if social media is going to be your first impression, it's got to be a positive endorsement of yourself. And so, you got to watch the language you're using. Don't want to have any profanity. Got to be careful what you retweet. All that stuff is important now. You see these guys who get drafted and they're pulling up tweets from 2012.
Yeah.
Stuff that they were just messing around with their friends in high school. Got to be careful.
Right.
And then secondly, I think it's incredible how quickly and how many highlight videos and how often coaches are willing to send out film and games, man, to you high school players. Make sure you are saying thank you to these volunteer high school assistant coaches that are spending hours putting together your highlight tapes, because they're really good. And I get them all the time. Coach, here's the link to our Huddle account. Coach, here's the link to so-and-so's highlights. Like, they're not getting paid to do that.
Right.
They're on a high school teacher salary, maybe with a head basketball coach stipend. But their obligation is to teach, educate, and coach their team. And these high school coaches are going above and beyond for their players to help them get to the next level. And so I think every high school player take a second to just step back and say thank you to the people that are working so hard for you behind the scenes, whether that's a parent, a trainer, an assistant coach. I just think it's incredible the work that gets done for these kids to to better their lives and get an opportunity.
For sure. And then give the kids one more point of advice outside of basketball, that obviously coaches look for, maybe personality, all that kind of stuff on what they need to be working on. Speaking, I don't know, whatever you guys look for, give them words of advice that they can take home with them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, a non-negotiable for us is your ability to take care of business in the classroom.
Mm,
And so if there are issues there from a transcript standpoint or a discipline standpoint,
mm-hmm.
That's going to eliminate you pretty early on.
Right.
And so I think it can't be stressed enough how vital that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then outside of, your personal statistics and numbers and all that stuff, man, honestly, when I go watch a game, I might not know how many points you scored or how many rebounds you had, but I'm definitely going to know what kind of teammate you are, and
Right.
if you're the leader of your team, just from watching how you are in a timeout, from
Mm-hmm.
watching how you are when your teammate hits the floor. Are you the first one over there? Are you the one who's willing to take a charge in the big moments, or are you ducking out of the way?
Right.
Uh, we really evaluate those things: body language, communication, leadership. So you know, I understand like hitting that step back makes you feel good,
Right.
but I'd rather see you take a charge or get the last 3 rebounds of the game,
Right.
or dap up your buddy when he scores his layup.
Right. Gotcha. All right, Coach, man. Well, we'll wrap it up, man. I really appreciate you taking time on this Sunday, man. Spend some time on my podcast, man. I appreciate you.
No doubt. Thanks for having me on, man. Best of luck to you.
Same to you, man.